Kilted Balls. That was really good. You were barely off the original Kilted, and you were right there with the secondary part. That was good. That was good.
Yes, I'm learning.
Man, you're doing good. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Kilted Balls podcast. This is our Halloween edition. Next week, we can do our election edition, right? Isn't it election week next week?
I think so.
I think there's an election.
Tuesday. Isn't it the 12th?
No. It's definitely the 5th.
That's the 5th.
It's definitely the 5th.
I thought it was the second Tuesday of November.
No, first Tuesday. First Tuesday of November.
First Tuesday.
So yeah, if you're one of our listeners and you don't know that voting is the 5th, it's the 5th. Though in Michigan, I don't know if you know this, we have early voting in Michigan. So
I was just going to say, I was planning on early voting, so I didn't really care when it was.
So you could start voting, I don't know, it was like a couple days ago, and it runs every day, including like Sundays. And like my daughters are all excited, like the ones out of town, because they'll be here for the weekend, and they're like, oh good, I'll vote while I'm here for the weekend. And
that's good.
Yeah, and it's funny because I just got done negotiating a contract to give people voting Tuesday off so they could go out and vote, because I think that's important. And then we changed the law so they can just vote whenever the hell they want. I'm like, well, shoot, we don't need that time off now. So
that's good. I mean, some people, they might want to sit around and watch the election results. And
yeah, I mean, we still have to work, but it's more open so you can get some time into it. Yeah, I was thinking about the results. I'm like, I'm not, like the last big election we had, or probably the last 2 or 3, I sit there like glued to my TV. And then, like 12:30 happens and I'm like, what am I doing? They literally can't tell me anything.
No, not.
So I'm like,
I mean, sometimes, like back in the day, they could, and possibly this time. I mean, who knows?
So as we're getting more and more technologically savvy and should be able to get the results in minutes, it actually takes longer now than it ever has before.
No, that is something that Donald did talk about. I don't know if you listened to it at all, but I did listen to the Donald Trump on Joe Rogan.
Oh, okay.
I just had to hear it. It was 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yep. So a lot of the comments were saying they would love to see Kamala do that because they didn't think she could. But I would love to see it too. I would love to see her on a long form. You get to know the person better. It seems like, at least. I think anyone who is a fan, they would have enjoyed it. And I think anyone who is not a fan would think he's a shyster. And, I doubt that anybody at this time, like, I can't imagine anybody's truly undecided right now. We're seeing him on a platform like that, which, I mean, free 3 hours is pretty huge. I mean, Joe, he's got the biggest.
Honestly, I can't imagine. I don't want to watch it. Like, I don't watch a lot of Joe Rogan stuff. Like, some I do, but most of the time I don't. And I for sure don't watch, Trump stuff. But I'm super curious because when you hear him talk or when you read the transcripts of his speeches, it's batshit crazy. Like, and they justify it, they being the people who love him, right? They justify the crazy, which is, you do you. Like, I don't justify crazy. Like, I call crazy. I don't justify the reason for it. But how did he make it 3 hours without sounding crazy or sounding like he was buffering?
He rambled a lot.
Oh, okay.
I don't know any 80-some-year-olds who wouldn't ramble a lot, honestly. Right? Joe reined him in quite a bit. A couple times he didn't. He just kind of let him run, and even Joe made some comments. I'm like, come on, Joe. Because they were talking about, like, the assassination attempts. Like, oh, if Biden or Kamala would have multiple assassination attempts on him, it'd be all over the news and blah, blah, blah. But it's his own people who are the people trying to assassinate him. They're like card-carrying members. So, and yes, I do. I'm not backing big media. I don't watch the normal news. I don't know how much it was covered. I have no idea. They were just saying it was hardly covered at all and kind of swept under the rug like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
But it was like his people that are trying to do it. Not, we talked about this a few weeks ago. But so like even like that one, Joe's like, oh yeah, they haven't said anything about it. Like if it were Democrats, like I imagine it would be on the news. Like if it was some crazy, super left Democrat trying to take somebody out, it would be.
It was all over my news feed, so I don't know what they're talking about. Like whenever anybody says that about anything, because I hear that a lot. Like people will be like Gaza's never in the news. I'm like, you're watching the wrong news. Mm-hmm. It's probably like it's in my news. Like, well, did you hear about that? Yes, I did. Or no, because I don't listen to the news, right? Like, if you wanted to pick something that's never in the news, I shouldn't say never, right? We are averaging right now, I forget, it's something stupid. Someone should Google this for us. But the number of mass shootings in America right now is very large. Like, the last time I think I looked, it was more than one a day.
Yeah. And you don't see them as
You don't see that. You don't see that ever on the news. It's literally not newsworthy that we have a mass shooting every day. Nobody even talks about the mass shootings. It's in the news if it's in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But if it's a mass shooting, like, I'm in Michigan. If it's a mass shooting in Arizona, nobody cares. Like, oh, that's Arizona. Like nobody cared when they used to have mass shootings in Detroit, right? We're about to hit Devil's Night. And nobody cared about Devil's Night. Like, we were from Michigan, so we got to see the world on fire, right?
Yeah.
But nobody else, like, they were just like, oh, yeah, that's Detroit. Who cares?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, they're stuff on fire.
They're lighting stuff on fire. They're shooting people. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, it was, it was enjoyable enough to where I was doing stuff and I listened to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It didn't. Unlike you, back in the day, I was a fan. Yeah. Like, especially when he was hanging out with like Robert Kiyosaki and stuff, and I think they still do. As fans of both of them, and then I liked Celebrity Apprentice, but I didn't love the Crazy Uncle skit. I could see why people were excited about it, but that's not my thing. It's I like to think that I'm past where it's okay. Like, I'm not going to cheer for somebody who makes fun of somebody who is mentally handicapped, or I'm not going to cheer for somebody who calls people names and stuff like that. So that's just where I am in my walk. So,
well, that's, and
then my after the insurrection, like, I'm definitely not like,
no, that's a for sure no. Yeah. My wife was laughing yesterday that there's a new TikTok trend going where it's like young women now. I assume it's young women. Like, she was just telling me about it and I was laughing. But like younger women who weren't necessarily voting age last time he ran, right? So, 4 years ago, like you could have been 17 and now you're, 21 and voting or whatever. But they're listening to stuff that like him talking. And so it's a TikTok trend where they have him talking and them reacting to what he says. And let me tell you, when he's like, well, I just grab him by the pussy, you see all these girls going, like, how is he running? Like, that was last time and he's still running and people are still like, yeah, that's okay. Like, that's fine. Whatever.
And we grew up around a lot of those people who are still thinking it's okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I learned multiple new terms yesterday. Okay. And I'll probably forget most of them. Our buddy Mark Brehop put one of them on Facebook. And then my wife went down a rabbit hole researching them because she didn't know what they were. But they were all sorts of things, like recency bias was one of the big ones, where you don't... Your newest stuff overrules anything in the past. Like, you forget everything that happened before. And there was like a primary bias where whatever you did at the beginning, like nothing changes that for you. Right? And then there was a third one, I forget what it was, but they were just all these different biases that she was learning about. And I'm like laughing because I'm like, I'm for sure, like we've talked about this on the episodes, right? I have a primary bias. I didn't like him in the 90s. So when you were talking about him liking Robert Kiyosaki, that was in late 90s, early 2000. And I remember not liking him in high school. Like, I remember laughing and thinking it was the funniest thing when he went bankrupt, because you grew up in our town, right? Like, we didn't like the uppity DeWitt people. We didn't like the rich, snobby Okemos people. We were down home, farmer type people, and we didn't like the rich hoity-toities. Mm-hmm. Which is funny, because a lot of those people now are like, yeah, we like them because they're awesome and rich. And I'm like, what are you, like, that has always been what you hated. Literally always what you hated. Like, now you're like, yeah. I'm like, come on. But it's pure tribalism at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't admit you were wrong. You're all in. You're all in no matter what. And if somebody came to me and was like, well, what if you're wrong, say, about Kamala Harris? I'm like, then I'd be wrong. But literally, it could be a dog running against Trump, and I would vote for the dog. Like, I wouldn't care. So it literally doesn't matter to me which one. And people are like, well, see, that's it. You're just biased. And I'm saying, yes, I admitted that from the get-go. From the 90s, I was biased. I'm still biased. Nothing has changed. I hated Celebrity Apprentice. I watched it 2 or 3 times and found it appalling. And the thing is, and people who've been with us through lots and lots and lots of episodes, he is the antithesis for every message we preach on the Kilted Balls podcast. He's literally against everything we preach, and I can't support somebody like that. Now, if somebody said, well, what if Kamala Harris started doing all that stuff? Then I wouldn't support her. I'm not a lesser of two evils person. Yeah. Like, right? We've talked about that. We do our thing, right? But he is the antithesis of it, and the other one is not. Like, she's not the antithesis of it, right? In fact, she extols some of the virtues we have, and her vice president pick for sure extols a shit ton of the virtues we talk about. So yeah, like, that's gonna be kind of the feel, right? Like, I'm not gonna go against what we preach all the time. And, you know, if you're one of our listeners and one of our friends and you're like, well, he's my guy. My family listens to this, and for my family, a lot of them, they're like, he's my guy, and we'll talk about that. And I'll be like, is he your guy because you agree with his views, or is he your guy because it's your team? Yep. And I'm telling you right now, and listen, you can all say I'm full of shit at Christmas or whatever. It's because he's your team. Just like the family who loves Ohio State would forgive Urban Meyer anything he did, because that was their team. Didn't matter how much he cheated. It's Ohio State.
I remember I there was someone I knew who was a big State fan.
Yes.
And when we were at Michigan State is when George Parcells, no, not George Parcells.
Perlis.
What's his name? Perlis. When he was stepping out, Nick Saban came in. We were all excited because he had done some good stuff. He left us high and dry.
Yes.
And went on. And this person, a huge State fan, liked him just because he was a coach at Michigan State for a year, even though he got out of his contract, all this and that, and left the whole thing. I'm like, how could you be a fan of his? The guy totally screwed your favorite team.
Yes.
Why would you even support this guy in anything he did? You don't have to hate him. I don't preach hate ever. No. But you don't have to love the guy. You can be like, no, I don't cheer for it.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me. And I'm not even half the Spartan guy this guy was. I just gave him a bunch of my money. And I cheer for him.
We gave the Sparties a lot of cash. I'm giving them cash still. To this day, I'm still giving them cash. Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks, kiddos. Appreciate that. Yeah.
So it's just kind of funny, like you're talking about with the team and what people will, in their minds, and what's okay and what's not okay.
Yeah. It's clearly just about team. If he came out tomorrow, and was like, hey, I changed my mind. Remember when I used to be an independent? I'm a Democrat now. They would burn him. They would burn him at the stake. They wouldn't be like, oh, he's just joking. They would be so upset because all of a sudden he was getting rid of the team. That's why they're upset at all those Republicans who are like, listen, we can't have him elected. And they're like,
Yeah.
you're not backing your team. And I remember getting into arguments with people like way back when. It was the old union idea, right? Like, hey, this guy was drunk at work. We want to fire him. And they were like, no. And it was because they were on their team. And that meant you had to protect them and you had to keep them in their job. It didn't matter whether they couldn't work or not, right? You're protecting the teammate. And he is on the team, but he's not really. He's not really.
He took over the team. He's like someone who came in, took over the team. Everyone doesn't necessarily like him or agree with him, but there are the people who are going to be like, okay, this is my team. That's okay. Even though it's like he brought other people in. Not my buddy John says this. He says, not everybody who's going to vote for him is racist by any stretch of the imagination. But every single racist he knows is going to vote for him.
Clearly. And how many racists do you know that are going to vote for the Democratic Party?
I don't think any.
I don't think any. But not everybody who's racist is voting for him. You're definitely right. But every racist for sure is
going to vote for him.
Yes, for sure. For sure. It's just craziness. Craziness. And, who knows? He might be our next president, right? And
it could be.
And we'll still be on here saying this is crazy. Like, how did that guy get there, right? So
yeah, some of the people I listen to say it's part of his plan to bring, like, his mission on Earth is to bring chaos, and he has brought chaos, and yes. He may bring more chaos, and that's just part of it. And this is the part.
And I'm not against chaos, right? Like, this is bad. This is bad, and I get that. And people, we know I have a lot of flaws, so we're okay. But I wanted him to win the Republican nomination his first time around, and people were like, "Why do you want him to win that?" I'm like, because of the pure chaos he will bring to the party and the nation, and I think chaos is good, as anybody who's played D&D with me knows. Right, like I'm a pretty big supporter.
He's bucking the system. I mean, one of the interesting things he said is he really feels when he's reelected, he's going to release the JFK stuff, and there's some other things he really wants to release because people can start healing over stuff like that. But that's total chaos because there's big organizations who don't want that stuff to happen. And he said the first time he was there, he wanted to do that, and people talked him out of it.
Yeah, or what's going to happen is he's going to release it all, and it's going to all be bullshit. Like, people are going to be like, "That you were going to release this exciting stuff, and it's nothing." That's why I think
it was the CIA. We all know it was the CIA.
I think that's why he didn't release it, because if he could have shed doubt on the Justice Department, he would have done it. I think when he went through it, people are like, listen, everybody's expecting this big bombshell. And if you release this and find that it's not a bombshell, that the government's like, yeah, that's how it happened, you're going to look like an idiot. And he's like, well, I can't look like an idiot. I'm not releasing it.
Yeah. He had said because there were still some people alive who were named and things like that's why he let them talk him out of it.
Yeah, I don't believe him. I think it made him look bad. I don't think people can talk him out of shit. I don't think people can talk him out of shit. So I think he does whatever he's going to do, right? Similar to a few people we know, right? Like, I just do what I'm going to do, right?
Yep.
And he's like 10 times the chaos man I am.
So the exciting been going on for you?
No, just a lot of that. Oh, by the way, interesting side note. This is what I'm most excited about, not for Tuesday, but for Wednesday or Thursday. I have heard that he has said in multiple speeches and stuff that people shouldn't worry about the election.
Oh, that's why I brought it up. I'm sorry, because I brought all of this up. And the reason I brought it up is because you were talking about the electronics, and he made that same comment. We have all this electric stuff that gets sent here and there and everywhere, but it takes 2 weeks to figure it out when there's paper ballots you knew in just a few hours.
Yes.
That's why I brought the whole thing up. I forgot to finish that.
Well, and what I've heard is he's told people, like, listen, you don't have to worry about the election. Like, I'll be the next president.
Yeah, that's what's her name? It's either April. I think it's Elizabeth April.
Okay.
She said the same thing. She says a lot of interesting stuff, and she's for sure like, if this doesn't sit with you, then if the message sits, that's great. If how I got it doesn't sit with you, that's fine. Like, take it or leave it. But she remote views people, and that's what she had said. She said that the most likely path that we're on is that he's winning the election, even though he might not get the proper votes to that he's going to be the next president.
Right.
So she had said that.
Well, that's what a lot of people are like. They're like, it'll make January 6th look like nothing. Like, he's going to take it over one way or the other. And he's already got it in place to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, interesting. I go, that'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what it's like on Wednesday or Thursday. And see how
I mean, I've been not saying, because I don't preach it from the rooftops, but I mean, it's been like early on in my shows, like I felt that, I mean, just timing. Great nations don't often last that long.
We've lasted longer than most great nations.
We've lasted quite a while. So if something changes, but our life is going to go on and everything's going to be fine, and we'll have to get some new imaginary money. And
I mean, it's
go on.
Here's what I always think about. The results of this election likely won't hurt you and I. Right? Kilted balls is kilted balls. Our philosophy supersedes or transcends a lot of this petty BS. Honestly. Right? We transcend that. What is sad is, it might not affect us, but it might sure as shit affect a lot of other people.
Our children.
It might affect our children really badly. It might affect our friends really badly. Right? And I think, I don't know if I said this on the show, but I said this to you. The thing that's really driving me crazy is the people who are like, you've got to remember how bad it's been in the last 4 years. Like, look how bad it's been. And I'm like, you and I remember the last 4 years completely differently. What I remember is 4 years ago, we were in a freaking pandemic, locked in our house when Trump was president and said, lock the bastards in their house. That wasn't Biden. Trump was president. Right? He was president. He's the one who did that. He was the one who had Fauci on saying, go get all of these vaccines. That was all Trump all day. The economy tanked. That was Trump.
It wasn't Biden until January.
Yes.
6th or 7th.
Not until January 6th. And conspiracy or not, weird, the pandemic started going away. People started moving on with their lives. The economy recovered. Like, all these people who are like, you need to remember how bad the economy was under Biden. Bitches, I remember how bad the economy turned under Trump when you and I were playing unturned all day because we couldn't go to our jobs.
I remember sweating every time a new list came out of what was going to be. The word isn't collecting to me right now.
Right?
What's the word where you have to pay extra money when your stuff comes in from China?
Tariffs.
When the tariff lists came out, like, I was sweating every time. It's like, oh, I might have to pay 20% extra on my next.
And he said he's going to do that. And people are like, yeah. I'm like, no, you don't understand.
He's like, oh, we made China pay all this stuff. It's not China that's paying that.
No. No. When my licorice gets when my licorice gets tariffed, the people I'm selling the licorice to pay that. I don't pay that. Right? Like I'm charging 4x. No matter what the price is that I get it for, it's going 3 to 4x. Like that's normal business. You have your X for your product.
Yeah.
That's business life. And so if you're like not in a business and you don't understand that, that's how businesses work. So they sell their product for an X amount over what they spend. So if all of a sudden it's 20% higher because of tariffs, I'm just going to charge 4 times that 20%.
Well, it was even, and I think I talked about this earlier, and I honestly don't remember, but like when my factory was saying that my costs were going up 20% and I was going to have to pay all my shipping, like I love my sheets. Obviously, I've been doing it for super long. I have many people love my sheets.
Yes,
but I would have had to charge $100 for them.
Yes,
and $100 is a lot for any sheets, and that was one of the corners that I had. I didn't have to charge $100 because I cut out all the middlemen, so I could charge a lot lower of a price. But yeah. And that's one reason I haven't bought a ton more sheets because I would have to pay so much more extra. I'm going to have to like raise all my prices a ton. So
yeah.
And I have a ton.
There's a whole bunch of signs in my area. I don't know if they're in yours, but they're like, vote for Trump, you'll get lower taxes. I'm like, I didn't get lower taxes when Trump was here last time. Why am I going to get lower taxes now? And some of you are like, no. He changed the tax code. Yeah. He doubled your standard deduction. I wasn't taking the standard deduction. It didn't help me at all because I'm a business owner, so that doesn't help me. Right? Like some people it might have helped. Some people it didn't.
So yeah, I didn't even think about that. So next week while we're recording, the election will be going on.
Hell yeah. Maybe we should do some live stuff, people. Let you see us. You guys can talk about it. We'll get those things like, okay, we've declared Alaska for Trump, and New York is, and you're going to be like, wait, Alaska's not awake yet. How'd they already go to Trump? Yeah, we're calling it.
Well, there's 3 votes in.
There's 3 votes in. We're done.
Talking about the early voting here in North Carolina, they've set records for like the first day was like insane record for early voting. So
that's awesome. You're one of the big states. So are we. So that's exciting. I get so many political flyers in my mail all the time.
So do I.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited. Our friend just had a birthday, and I hope her birthday gift is super awesome next Tuesday.
Wow, I hope so. Yeah, that'd be terrific, right? Our friend's running, and I'm super excited for her. Really hope she gets it. I think she would do a great job, honestly. I think she would do good. Speaking about, like, elections, in my local election, talking about what's the worst thing Trump could do. If he said he was Democrat, they all wouldn't vote for him. Like, they would seriously be like, F his policies. Right? He would lose all of that support if he just put a D by his name and did everything the same. They wouldn't care. They would kill him. The reason I bring that up is I have a buddy who's running for our county commission. Same kind of thing I was, but a different location. And he won the primary by a ton against the incumbent, just like I was trying to do. And the person he ran against, who he's already beat, is now putting out all of this stuff about how he's really a Democrat.
Now
he's like, vote for the Democrat. He's like, don't vote for anybody or vote for the Democrat because at least he's honest. This one's pretending he's a Republican and he's a pure Democrat and he's lying to you. I'm like, what? Because that's the biggest sin.
That could have been you. People would have found out about you.
People would be like, oh, wait.
The smear campaign.
I know whenever anybody gets mad like about like the Trump thing or anything Republican and they're like, well, you're just saying that because you're this and this. I'm like, listen, out of all the friends I have, which is a pretty good number, I'm literally the only card-carrying member. Like, I've been elected multiple times in the Republican Party and just ran an election as a Republican. So don't tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about with that. Like, ashamed, but I am a card-carrying member. And none of the rest of you are.
Way a while ago.
And none of the others are, right? Like, y'all haven't ran for an election. Y'all haven't gone to your county party meetings. I'm like, come on, get out of here. So, yeah, I might know. The interesting part is I also get all of the stuff from the Dems, too. So, like, I can speak very fluently about the batshit crazies on both sides.
Yes. So, and there are, of course.
There
Not
are.
saying that one side is and the other side isn't.
Oh, my gosh, no. Nope. There's literally batshit crazy on both sides.
Different kind of crazy.
It's two different crazies. Both fucking crazy. Right? What are you drinking? I keep seeing you pull out your not flask.
I have a ton of water that I'm drinking. Everyone here has been sick for like 2 months. And I had it quite a bit last week.
Respiratory?
Or was it 2 weeks? Yeah, I guess down here, I don't know if it's all over the place, but I've heard that down here the walking pneumonia has been going around.
Literally right before we started recording. Right before we started recording, one of my family members was like, yeah, it's like a 30% increase from normal for walking pneumonia.
Yeah.
I was like, I believe it.
Morgie had yesterday off. We took him to the doctor. Today, Ollie was off. We took him to the doctor. I'm okay right now. I've been like just achy and sore, but
do you guys have like a little spot at the doctor's that's just yours? Because I swear you guys are at the doctor's easily every week, if not twice a week.
Well, this week was twice in 2 days. We got to stay in the same room and see the same lady.
Of course you did.
Although the nurse was different. Our check-in girl was the same, though.
You know the other one's going to get sick, right? Like, why didn't you just do both the first time?
Because one was in school, and he's acting like he was fine. But we knew he was sick since Friday. But today, he's just like, I can't do it.
Like, what did they do for him? That's what I want to know. What did they do for him? Antibiotics?
No, because they're just like, it's viral. So right now, there's no antibiotics. Wait.
Did they do that with the first one? Then why?
Oliver hurt his finger too. So he didn't break his finger. He bent his finger back really far.
Yeah.
And he wasn't feeling well anyways. So we just wanted to make sure because he gets ear infections. Like if he sneezes wrong, he gets an ear infection. So we just wanted to make sure he didn't have an ear infection and then get his finger looked at. Although I looked at it and Gina looked at it. We're like, it's not broken. You're fine. And they're like, it's not broken.
And even if it was broken, like it's a finger.
Yeah. I said we rubbed some dirt on it. It seemed okay last night.
Yeah. And if you're looking at me weird, like we tell our wrestlers that all the time. Like our fingers get broken. They're made almost to be broken. Like
he said, he said he felt his finger touch himself right here. So I'm like, well, it sounded like it was hyperextended. It wasn't swollen or anything. So I'm like, it's fine.
If it touched there, I'm pretty sure it would dislocate. Did you put it back in yourself, little buddy?
He just said it touched there. Maybe it was his friend's finger.
Maybe it touched like this way. I can't see.
Maybe. He's super bendy, so
he is super bendy, right? Him and Cora, they're both super bendy, so maybe that's a thing. I don't know. Man, that's a lot.
Yeah. No doctors tomorrow.
You get to go tomorrow.
No. I don't go to the doctor unless I really need to.
I'm taking all the kids all the time, but not me. Screw that action. They're a bunch of kooks.
I'll just look what they have. I'm like, okay.
That's what I like with our kids. I was always like, we took one. What about the other two? They clearly have the same thing. I don't have to take them.
Yeah. If it wasn't for the finger, he wouldn't have taken him in.
Like, oh, it's
Or the
viral.
ear.
Oh, good. Then the other two have the viral too, and we'll just wait.
But his ears weren't hurting, but it was just to be safe.
Yeah. Well, as he gets older, he'll get less ear infections, right?
Good.
Right, because
That's
the
thing.
tubes, because you're, they start pointing the correct direction,
Okay, nice.
right? Because they're pointing the wrong direction when you're little, and so as you get older, it changes direction, and then
Oh, I did not know that.
that's why you never get ear infections as adults. Like it's really rare to get an ear infection.
I just thought that we learn how to like clear it out. Like you learn not to suck it in and send it to your ears.
it drains.
Like, I just
It
thought that
drains
was-
like the pipes are like this, and when you're like a
Oh,
baby,
yeah.
they're like
They-
this. So-
Oh, nice! I learned something new today.
So they always get infected when you're little because they're pointed the wrong way, and eventually your head grows and they point down and they drain down into your normal drainage areas. So,
Oh, nice! I did not know that.
yeah.
I just thought it was you learned how to clear it out.
Nope, people aren't that smart. They wouldn't learn.
No.
No, they would not. No, they would not.
Over the millions of years, our bodies just like it's born like that, and then all of a sudden it's like we need to move down more. We're
Well,
down
your
too
neck
fast.
gets longer, right? Like when you think about like babies and stuff, they're not proportionally the same as adults, right? Like
Yeah.
and they grow. So,
I
What?
think the New York Red Bulls just beat the Columbus Crew. Nice. That is pretty crazy.
we have no idea what you're talking
Anyone
about.
anyone cares about MLS?
Oh, okay.
If you haven't heard, the New York Red Bulls beat Columbus in
All
game
right.
1.
Good to know. Good to know. Last funny thing because we're almost out of time.
Uh-oh.
But I started playing an online game and I suggested it to you and you like totally shot me down. But I'm enjoying it. I started playing it. Cal
Nice.
wanted me to play. I have a whole bunch of kiddos on a team that have been playing it like every day while we stretch. They're all on their phones playing it.
Mm-hmm.
And like hooting and hollering, and Cal was playing it. I was like, oh, you should play that with me. And I'm like, you know what, Cal, for you, I'll get it and I'll start playing it. And I started playing it, and it's fun. It's enjoyable.
I imagine it would be.
But today, the kiddos, I was like, yeah, I started playing that. And they're like, let's play. Invite us. I'm like, I don't know how to invite. You got to invite me. And so they all like invite me. And then they're like, your name's Ballbuster? I'm like, yeah. They're like, really? I'm like, it's always Ballbuster. I'm like, that's what I'm known by is Ballbuster. Just not in your world.
Uh-huh.
In your world, I'm not. But I go, in most of the rest of the world, that's what I'm known by is Ballbuster. I'm like, so if you ever are like playing a game and somebody named Ballbuster is kicking your ass, I go, you can be like, I actually know that guy. They're like, oh, great.
It's funny because I do brag about your stories about how people will be like, "That's you, you're Ballbuster." When we were at Origins, you had your little shirt on.
Oh, yeah. And I'd be like, yeah, that's me.
I think I was telling Matt and Corey trying to give you some street credit on your video gaming.
I know. Like, it's not, if I keep playing Sea of Thieves, I'm going to be sorting the shit out of people. That's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fun game, too. But
Oh, because have you watched the Netflix movie that's based on, not Dota? Is it based on Dota?
I'm the one
There's
who
a
told
Netflix
you
show.
I'm the one who told you to watch it. It's based on League of Legends.
Okay, because Corey and Jessica told me to watch it as well.
So everybody
we are all
tells you to
talking
watch
about
it, and you still haven't watched it?
No, I'm still watching Delicious in Dungeon, and I'm still watching One Note. Delicious in Dungeon's hilarious. You'd like it.
It's Arcane, right? Arcane. And it's
Oh yeah, that's it.
and
That's
it's okay to be confused because as I tell people sometimes, and it makes me really old, is first there was Dota, then the people who made Dota were mad at Riot for not supporting it, so they made League of Legends.
Yes.
Then Dota was like, hey, we'll support that, and they went back to Dota, and now there's both League of Legends and Dota. But it was
Yeah.
like Dota first, then League of Legends, then Dota. And the funny part was, I don't know if it's still this way because I don't play a lot, but like, the characters were the same.
Yeah.
Like, it was so funny because, like, on one, you would have, like, a dwarf with a lightning hammer riding an eagle, and it was like Odin. And in the other one, you had a small dwarf-like character riding an eagle with a lightning hammer called Odor.
I put a lot of thought into it.
It was like all the same.
I was laughing about the show. I'm like, what can the show be? Like one episode is the person that's on the center lane, one person is on the right.
That's how I thought it was going to be. Like, they were like, you should watch this. I'm like, no, because like there is a movie there is a Warcraft movie, which is what Dota's based on. That's a fun movie too. But
that is good with the guy who is in Viking.
Yeah. So, it's totally only related to League of Legends in the fact that it's like showing the origin story of the character.
Yeah.
Not like the actual game. So.
Yes.
But that's all fun.
That's awesome.
Anyway, as we end, there was breaking news as well, not about the soccer, but the Supreme Court ruled that RFK Jr. has to stay on the ballot in like Michigan and Wisconsin.
Oh, man.
Which kind of makes sense because our ballots are already out and we've already had early voting. So that dummy, like, so dumb. But yeah.
Although that could be a whole other conversation. He says some things that I definitely agree with, but.
Well, yeah. But he's just saying them to say them. Like, it's not real. Like, he was a plant from the beginning. And then he didn't unplant in time. Oops, bad time.
Well, now he's gonna be in the next administration.
Yeah, well, that was the plan, right? That was the plan. You pull votes away from Biden, and then
which he wouldn't have.
He would not have.
He would not have. It's bad planning.
It was just a bad plan from the beginning, right? As soon as he started pulling votes from Republicans, they were like, you need to cancel your campaign. And he was like, oh, okay, I'll cancel it. Like, instantly, right? It's so dumb. Anyway, people, we'll have more about this stuff later. Hopefully you enjoyed the episode and our rambling about politics. I guess this episode will probably be called, like, Trump or Harris. It's probably going to get us some views. Sorry to disappoint those of you who came here hoping for a rah-rah. Probably ain't getting that shit, so. Our bad.
Go back. Don't listen to too many episodes.
Yeah.
But last 6 months have been awesome.
Yeah, been really good. Really good. Okay. Well, people, you enjoy your week. Have a great Halloween. Have a great All Souls Day. Have a great All Saints Day, because that's the reason for the season. And you know what? We'll see you on election night. It should be fun. So have a great week. This is Ballbuster signing off.
Shut the Dragon Jared. Love you all.